She left during the night. I didn't hear a door. No engine. Not even the rustle of a jacket. Just gone. At 6:12 a.m., I got a text. No, goodbye. No, sorry. No, I love you. Just 5 words. In Hawaii. Take the kids. I didn't process it at first. I was brushing my teeth when the vibration came. My phone buzzed once. I glanced at the screen, saw her name, and kept brushing. Thought it was something dumb, like her asking if we were out of milk. But then I felt something cold in my spine. I don't know how to explain it. Like a dog sensing a tornado. I rinsed my mouth, opened the message, and my jaw just hung open, still tingling with mint. In Hawaii. Take the kids. I read it again. Then again. The bathroom mirror started warping, like I was dreaming or drunk. But I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't drunk. I was wide awake and stone-cold sober, staring at my wife's last known communication to me. A text that sounded like she was going on vacation and I'd won a goddamn babysitting sweepstakes. I bolted down the hallway, heart pounding, unsure if I was going to find blood or a note or her sleeping in the guest room laughing at a prank I wasn't in on. But the house was hollow. Her shoes were gone from the rack. The coat she never wore unless she was traveling? Vanished. So was her passport. Her toothbrush. Half of her underwear drawer. She had planned this. That realization hit me like a shovel to the chest. She didn't vanish. She escaped. And then came the crying. Not mine. Not yet. The kids. All 5 of them. They stood at the top of the stairs in their pajamas, clutching the railing like survivors on a sinking ship. Confused. Barefoot. Hair tousled. Eyes red. My youngest, Ryan, still had the plastic dinosaur he sleeps with, half dragging it across the steps. Daddy, Lily said. She's the oldest. 9 going on 30. Always tries to be the strong one. Where's Mommy? I wanted to lie. I wanted to smile and say she went to the store or had a meeting or got called in to help Grandma. But I couldn't. Something cracked in me right then. Not loudly. Quiet, like a hairline fracture. I felt it snap under the surface. She's not here, I said. But I'm here. Okay. Silence. Then Lily started crying, which set off Ryan. Then Emma. Then Josh. Then Mia. A chorus of confusion and pain exploded in that hallway. 5 sobbing kids, all different ages, all looking at me like I was the world's last adult, and it was ending fast. I didn't hug them. Not because I didn't want to. Because I couldn't move. I stood there, still holding my phone, the words on that screen burning into my brain. I must have read it 100 times before I turned it off. My hands were trembling. My jaw was clenched so tight my teeth ached. She's in Hawaii? She left. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Not just the disappearance. It was how easy she did it. No warning. No fight. No tearful goodbye. No breakdown. Not even a sign. Lisa was always unpredictable, sure. She'd get quiet sometimes for days. Had a habit of saying things like, "You never really knew me," in the middle of a nice dinner. But I thought that was just her being dramatic. I thought I understood her. I didn't understand anything. After an hour of trying to keep the kids calm with cartoons and cereal, I went into our bedroom and opened her laptop. It was still there, untouched. Logged in. I checked her browser. She had booked a one-way flight to Maui. First class. The confirmation was in her email. She made the reservation 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. And I hadn't noticed a goddamn thing. That was the part that broke me. Not the fact that she left. Not even that she didn't say goodbye. But that she had looked me in the eye, kissed me goodnight, helped Ryan with his math homework, and all the while, she knew. She knew she was going to vanish. And she said nothing. She smiled. Slept next to me. And counted down the days like a bomb under the floorboards. I sat on the bed, staring at the flight info, hands going numb. And that's when something inside me changed. It wasn't rage. It was ice. I got up, walked into the hall, and looked at the kids sitting in a daze in front of the TV. They looked so small, so lost. And I thought, she doesn't get to do this. She doesn't get to disappear and still play mom when she feels like it. I made one decision that morning. One that would set off a chain of events I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. By 11:40 a.m., I was already on the phone with an attorney. By nightfall, I had filed emergency custody paperwork. By morning, the court order was signed. And then she called. But not to say sorry. Not to explain. Not even to speak to the kids. She was furious. And that was when I finally realized she didn't just leave us. She had never really been with us in the first place. And now? Now she was coming back. Not because she missed us. Because she wanted something. Something else. The call came at 6:07 a.m. the next morning. I was sitting at the kitchen table, still in yesterday's clothes, staring blankly at a half-eaten piece of toast I didn't remember making. The kids were asleep, finally. They had cried themselves out, all 5 of them curled like puppies in the living room under a fort of blankets. I hadn't slept. Not even for a minute. My head was buzzing with questions that didn't have answers yet. The phone rang only once. Her name lit up the screen like a warning sign. Lisa. I answered, didn't say a word. She did. Her voice wasn't soft. It wasn't remorseful. It wasn't even slightly emotional. It was cold. Sharp. Why the hell did I get served? She hissed. No, are the kids okay? No, did you see my note? No. I'm sorry I left in the night like a damn fugitive. Just anger. Pure, surgical fury. I stayed silent for a moment, studying the tone of her voice like a scientist holding a scalpel. She was pacing. I could hear it. Hard footsteps, a hotel floor, maybe tile. Some kind of mechanical humming in the background. AC. Or maybe a fan. Then she snapped. Answer me, Jack. What the hell did you do? I filed for emergency custody, I said. I heard her exhale like she'd been gut punched. Then she laughed. Not the kind of laugh that comes from something funny. This was the ugly, bitter laugh of a woman who had lost control of the script. You're kidding me. You've lost it. I said nothing. You seriously think you can just, what? Take my kids and freeze me out? Because I took a break? You disappeared, I said quietly. You left your phone. You left your children. You left a note with 5 words and vanished in the middle of the night. Don't be dramatic, she spat. That word. Dramatic. Like I was some hysterical teenager reacting to a missed dinner. Like she hadn't detonated a bomb in the middle of our lives and called it a break. I wanted to scream. I wanted to curse. But something in me wouldn't let go of the ice. That decision I made the day before, it had hardened inside me overnight. I wasn't going to beg or argue or explain myself to her. So I said, the court saw the same thing I did. That's why the order's signed. You idiot. She was trying to sound calm now, but her voice was shaking. You have no idea what you've just done. I looked out the window. The sun was coming up. Orange light bleeding over the backyard where Ryan had left his toy truck half buried in the dirt 2 days ago. You think this is about custody? She went on. You think I wanted to leave like that? You think I didn't have a reason? No, I said, steady. I think you made a choice. A very careful one. One you planned 2 weeks in advance while pretending everything was fine. She went silent. For a second, I wondered if she'd hung up. Then she said, if you knew half of what was going on, you wouldn't be so smug. That got my attention. What's going on, Lisa? Another pause. A breath. A shift. Then she said, with a strange, bitter twist, I had to get out. And I'm not coming back just because you stomped your feet and cried to a judge. You didn't just get out. You abandoned 5 kids. I didn't abandon anyone, she snapped. I was going to call. I was going to explain. I just needed, God, Jack, I needed space. Something I never got in that goddamn house with you always hovering, and them always needing something, and me drowning while you walked around pretending we were the ing cleavers. I didn't flinch. I let her rage roll over me like a wave breaking on stone. Because I realized something right then, she wasn't sorry. She wasn't even scared. She was offended that I had acted without her permission. She still thought she was running this show. So I asked her something I hadn't planned to. Who were you meeting in Hawaii? Dead silence. It lasted 3 seconds. 4. Then she laughed again, but this time it was different. Lighter. Smug. Wow, she said. You really think that's what this is about? You tell me. Another pause. Don't worry, she said finally. You'll find out. But by the time you do, it'll be too late. And just like that, she hung up. No goodbye. No promises. Just a threat wrapped in a riddle. I sat there, the phone still to my ear, the silence pressing down like a hand on my chest. My mind was spinning. What the hell was that? Was she bluffing? Was someone else involved? Was this just about her mental spiral? Or was it something else entirely? Because that last sentence, the way she said it, it didn't feel like a wife lashing out. It felt like a warning. And in that moment, I realized Lisa didn't just leave. She was running from something, or towards something. And whatever it wasn't finished with us yet. I didn't go back to sleep after she hung up. I couldn't. I sat at the kitchen table, still gripping the phone like it might ring again and give me the missing piece. But the screen stayed dark. Her silence now felt more dangerous than her words. She hadn't called for the kids. Not once. Not even to ask if they were okay. That told me more than any explanation could. Whatever she was caught up in, we weren't part of it anymore. At 7:40 a.m., Lily walked in. She looked like she hadn't slept either. She always notices more than she should, picks up on tones, facial twitches, small gaps between words. Lisa used to say Lily was too sensitive. But really, Lily was just watching, always quietly watching. She had her blanket around her shoulders like a cape. Eyes swollen, voice hoarse. Is Mommy still gone? I nodded. Where is she? She's in Hawaii. Lily blinked. Why? I couldn't lie to her. Not anymore. I don't know, sweetheart. She stood there in the doorway, not moving. Her expression didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. Like she was doing math in her head, sorting her own evidence, weighing how much she should trust me. Then she asked, is she coming back? I hesitated. I don't think so. Lily didn't cry. She just turned around and went back down the hall. And somehow, that broke me more than all the tears from the day before. By 9 o'clock, I was on the phone again, this time with my lawyer. I wanted everything documented. I didn't care how expensive it was. Lisa was not just going to blow back into town a week from now with some sob story and try to erase what she'd done. No, this was going to court. I didn't realize until later how right that instinct was. Around 10:15, a black SUV pulled up outside my house. I watched it through the blinds, tinted windows, no plates I could see, engine still running. I don't know why, but my stomach clenched. Then a man stepped out. Suit. No tie. Looked like he belonged in a boardroom, or maybe on a yacht. Mid-40s, lean, clean-shaven, wearing sunglasses despite the cloudy sky. He didn't knock. He stood at the edge of my driveway for a full minute before reaching into his coat pocket and placing something on my mailbox. Then he got back in the SUV and drove off without ever looking back. I waited, counted 30 seconds, then walked out, barefoot, into the morning chill. On top of the mailbox was a thick white envelope. No return address. Just my name, handwritten in neat cursive. Inside, one page, typed, 12 lines. It read, Jack, you filed something you don't understand. You've stepped into a process that has consequences beyond your comprehension. Lisa is safe. For now. Do not attempt to freeze her assets again. Do not involve law enforcement. Do not speak to the media. Your children are currently unmonitored. That can change. We expect your cooperation. This is not a threat. It is an agreement to remain civil. Lisa has chosen her path. You will not be part of it. Destroy this message. That was it. No signature. No contact. Just that cold, surgical warning. I read it 3 times before my hands stopped shaking. I didn't destroy the letter. I scanned it, photographed it, hid the original under a floorboard in the garage. And then, finally, I understood something that had been screaming at me in the background since Lisa's call. She wasn't acting alone. Someone was helping her, funding her, protecting her. I thought she was unraveling, that her disappearing act was some midlife meltdown. But this was organized. She joined something, or worse, been recruited. And now they were watching me, watching the kids. That line, your children are currently unmonitored, it didn't just sound like a threat. It sounded like a test, as if they were waiting for me to react. I didn't, not on the surface. I went back inside, shut the blinds, locked the doors, turned on cartoons for the kids and smiled like nothing was wrong. But in my head, every gear was turning. If Lisa had walked into something dangerous, if she had aligned herself with people who could drop letters on my mailbox and vanish into SUVs, then this was no longer a missing wife situation. This was a full-blown operation. And I was sitting in the center of it, alone, with 5 kids, and no idea who the hell I was actually up against. That evening, I sat in the living room pretending to watch Toy Story 2 for the 3rd time in 2 days. The kids were scattered around me, Ryan curled in my lap with his thumb halfway to his mouth, Mia asleep under a blanket, Josh and Emma whispering nonsense back and forth, and Lily, sitting in the corner with her back to us, sketching something furiously into her notebook. She wasn't watching the movie. She hadn't laughed once. She wasn't even pretending to be okay anymore. Every time the screen flickered, I caught a glimpse of her face, and she looked older than 9. Too still. Too distant. I wanted to ask what she was drawing, but I didn't. I already knew it wouldn't be something happy. At 8:41 p.m., the front door creaked. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. We locked it. I was sure we'd locked it. But I heard the sound again. Not from the front. From the garage. I slid Ryan gently off my lap, grabbed my phone, and rose without making a sound. The TV's light danced on the ceiling behind me. I motioned to Lily. She looked up, instantly alert, and whispered, "Stay here. Don't move." She nodded, eyes sharp. I stepped into the kitchen, barefoot again. I could feel the tile under my feet like ice. The sound had stopped. Dead silence. I unlocked the drawer beside the fridge, the one where I kept the small crowbar I used to pry open stuck paint cans or occasionally fix jammed cabinet doors. I joked once to Lisa that I kept it, just in case someone tries something stupid. She'd rolled her eyes and said I watched too many movies. Tonight didn't feel like a movie. It felt like a setup. I crept down the hall to the garage door, crouched low, and listened. Then I heard it, a single metallic click. I flung the door open and raised the crowbar. But there was no one. Just the garage. Still. Quiet. My tools hung untouched on the pegboard. The minivan sat cold and dusty. Nothing looked out of place until I turned toward the side door that led out to the yard. It was unlocked, and on the concrete just beneath the doorframe, a single white envelope, just like the first one. I snatched it and backed into the house, locking everything behind me twice. The blinds. The deadbolts. The kids didn't even flinch when I returned. They were used to me moving like this now. Lily gave me a quick glance, saw the envelope in my hand, and lowered her eyes. Inside was no letter this time. Just a photo. Printed. Glossy. Thick paper. Lisa. In Hawaii. Sitting poolside in a white dress. Laughing. Next to her, a man. Tall. Silver hair. Tanned. Wearing all black. His arm draped over her shoulder like they'd done it 1,000 times before. Both wearing wristbands, the resort kind, but thicker. Marked with something dark and metallic. I squinted. The logo on his glowed in the flash. 3 concentric circles, like a hypnotic spiral. And there, beside them, a baby stroller. Not ours. Not familiar. Lisa wasn't holding a drink or smiling at the camera. She was looking past it, right at the person taking the picture. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was stunned. Because Lisa was smiling. Not a fake smile. Not her usual tight-lipped PR grin she used in family photos or awkward PDA meetings. She looked free, relaxed, like the kids and I had never even existed. And that was when it hit me. She wasn't running from us. She was replacing us. I flipped the photo over. No message. No signature. But in tiny letters, printed at the bottom like a timestamp, were the words, Phase 1 complete. That phrase sat in my gut like a brick. Phase 1. There was a plan. A sequence. And this was only the beginning. I sat in the bathroom with the shower running, water masking the sounds of my breathing. I studied that photo under the white light of the mirror, zooming into every edge, analyzing every background detail. Palm trees. Pool. Outdoor bar. No name visible. But the man, his watch was unique. Square face, white dial, black leather band. I took a picture of it and ran it through a reverse image search. It wasn't a commercial brand. It was custom. Issued to board members of a company I had never heard of until that night. A company Lisa had visited once, 6 months ago, for a corporate wellness retreat. I'd found the calendar invite back when she was trying to convince me to let her go alone. I hadn't thought twice. Now I couldn't stop thinking about it. The name of the company? Halcyon Core Initiative. Sounded like something out of a sci-fi novel. Their website was polished, professional, cold. Elite human optimization. Future alignment. Inner vision clarity. All corporate wellness buzzwords, until I scrolled down. Until I found the testimonials. Not from patients. Not from clients. From wives. all of them praising Halcyon for helping them redefine their roles, reclaim lost identities, liberate from dependency. I sat frozen as the browser scrolled by itself, some kind of autoplay embedded feed, and one of the faces blinked into view. Lisa. On video. Smiling. Saying things I'd never heard her say. I used to think being a wife and mother was all I'd ever be. I was wrong. Halcyon showed me the future I forgot I deserved. I slammed the laptop shut. Every part of my body wanted to shake. But I couldn't. Not now. This was no affair. This was a conversion. And now they were sending messages to my door. They weren't done. They were just beginning. I spent the next day on autopilot. Packing lunches. Brushing hair. Driving Lily and Josh to school like nothing had shifted in the fabric of reality. Like my wife wasn't poolside in paradise with a man I'd never seen, smiling like she'd been reborn. But my ears were always on high alert. My phone was always in my hand. My eyes scanned every car that pulled too close to the curb, every unfamiliar face near the school gates. By noon, I'd called 3 private investigators. 2 hung up as soon as I said the name Halcyon Core Initiative. The third told me, flatly, I don't touch those people. I value my license. Those people. He said it like they were a different species. By evening, I knew I couldn't stay passive anymore. I waited until all 5 kids were asleep. Lily had fallen out in Ryan's bed again, one arm protectively thrown over him like a shield. I kissed them each on the head, whispered nothing, just silence, because even my voice felt like a crack in the shell. Then I went back to my office and opened the one box Lisa had never wanted me to touch. It was shoved in the back of the closet under a pile of winter coats. A locked gray file box. She used to say it was for taxes, insurance forms, boring stuff. But Lisa had never once filed our taxes herself. She could barely remember her email password. I pried it open with a screwdriver. Inside were documents, some expected. Bank forms, old hospital bills, her grad school records. But then, deeper in the stack, folded 3 times and taped together, was a visitor's pass. It was black, marked with a silver spiral just like the bracelet in the photo. And on the back, handwritten in fine point marker. Guest, Lisa Renner. Date, October 22nd. Facility, Tier 3/Red level. Escort, Dr. Malcolm Rytha. I took a picture of it. Ran the name. There was nothing. No LinkedIn. No published work. No social media. But a 2013 article from an obscure biotech journal mentioned a Dr. M. Rytha as part of a neurobehavioral research team at a now-defunct company based in Nevada. A company that had been sued for testing cognitive inhibitors on unwitting volunteers. And I felt it, that cold click in the back of my brain. This wasn't just about Lisa running off. This was conditioning. They were reprogramming people. I pulled out the Halcyon site again and looked at Lisa's video more carefully. Not the words. The background. It was fake. The lighting on her face didn't match the shadows behind her. The pool shimmer was artificial. Even the trees looked too symmetrical. It was green screen. And the wristband? Zooming in revealed tiny dots embedded along its side sensors. This wasn't just a wellness retreat. It was a lab. My hands were sweating by the time I closed the laptop. My pulse thumped in my temples. I wanted to run. But where? With 5 kids? Against people who could send unmarked SUVs, who knew how to get in and out of my garage without a trace. I had one name. One possible crack in their perfect glass surface. Dr. Malcolm Rytha. At 2:19 a.m., I posted a question on a dark web forum I hadn't touched in over a decade, a place I used to visit when I worked cybersecurity straight out of college. I wrote, seeking information on Dr. Malcolm Rytha, formerly linked to Halcyon Core. Will pay for verified leads. Family safety involved. Contact me directly. Jack_Renner42. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark, the only sound the fridge humming and a tree branch tapping against the window like a metronome. I didn't expect a response. I got one in 17 minutes. No handle. No name. Just a message box blinking. The reply was one line. He's not missing. He's hiding. You're already a day behind. Attached was a file. Encrypted. Password protected. And a simple instruction. Wait until 3 a.m. Open it alone. Don't let them see your screen. I stared at that line for a long time, a chill running up my spine. Whoever sent this knew things. Knew I was being watched. Knew they were still tracking us. I waited. At exactly 3 a.m., I entered the password. Tier 3 fall. The file opened into a folder. No documents. No video. Just audio. One single, muffled recording. I hit play. At first, static. Then a man's voice, calm, precise, like a university lecturer, came through. Subject L. Renner is now responsive to all 9 visual cue sets. Self-identity recalibration is 78% complete. No significant memory disruptions, though spousal association weakens daily. Implant phase 2 recommended within 48 hours to preserve full autonomy. I stopped the playback. L. Renner. Lisa. Self-identity recalibration. Spousal association weakens. This wasn't therapy. This was erasure. They were wiping her clean, replacing who she was, a mother, a wife, a person, with something else. A new Lisa. Designed, installed, managed, and they were about to take it even further. Implant phase 2. I didn't know what that meant, but I didn't need to. I had to stop it. Even if she hated me now, even if she'd chosen them, she was still the mother of my kids. And I knew one thing with complete clarity: if they were reprogramming her, turning her into someone else. Then phase 2 didn't just mean losing Lisa. It meant losing her forever. And I wasn't going to let that happen. The next day began like the end of the world, wearing a mask of normal. I made pancakes, smiled too hard, helped Emma put on socks she hated, and pretended I didn't notice Lily watching me, knowing something was wrong. She didn't ask about the envelope on the kitchen counter I'd flipped upside down. Smart kid. She'd already seen the other one. I packed lunches with trembling hands. My brain kept replaying that phrase over and over. Implant phase 2 recommended. Implant. I had no proof it was physical. No idea if it was neural, behavioral, or biochemical. But the word made my skin crawl. My wife was being rewritten. Systematically. The Lisa I'd known, sharp, unpredictable, sometimes cruel but deeply real, was being overwritten line by line like a corrupted drive. And someone had decided I didn't deserve the source code. At 8:42 a.m., the house went quiet. 4 of the kids were at school. Ryan was with me. Preschool was canceled for parent-teacher training. He sat at the kitchen table scribbling little blue dinosaurs onto a napkin while I stared at my laptop screen, heartbeat ticking like a time bomb in my chest. I opened the folder again. That audio file. I didn't press play. Instead, I opened the metadata. It was timestamped. 71 hours ago, meaning the recommendation for phase 2? That window was closing. If they followed their own schedule, they'd already started the next step. I needed to act. Now, I dug through the paperwork from Lisa's secret file box again. Searched for anything pointing to that Tier 3/red level facility she visited. And then I found it. Not a map. Not an address. An old email, auto-forwarded from a burner address. By the .access point at halcyoncor.net. The subject line was nothing. Confirmation. But the body? We've arranged clearance for Subject L. Renner to enter Tier 3 via Red Access on October 22nd. No ID required. Voice print match sufficient. Protocol override. Domestic mask. Time limit. 40 minutes. Escort clearance. RIDA. Note: remote families will be placed under Protocol D unless advised otherwise. Remote families. That meant us. And Protocol D? I didn't know what it was. But it wasn't going to be good. So I did something I promised myself I wouldn't do. I texted her. Lisa, I found the video. I know what they're doing to you. Halcyon is not saving you. They're deleting you. I don't care what you think about me. But I'm not letting them finish phase 2. Please, if there's any part of you left, call me. It's sent. Read receipt lit up almost instantly. No reply. Not for 5 minutes. Then I got a single text back. Do not contact me again. You're violating protective boundaries. My real life has begun. Let it go, Jack. There was no emotion in it. Not even anger. Just corporate language. Words that sounded like they'd been lifted from a seminar. Protective boundaries. Real life. It wasn't Lisa texting me. It was something else using her hands. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't just trying to rescue a wife. I was trying to extract a hostage. Ryan looked up at me, crayons in hand, and said, "Daddy, you're squeezing the table too hard." He was right. My knuckles were white against the wood. Sorry, buddy. Then he pointed to something. Why is there a man in the backyard? I froze. Where? Ryan got off his chair and padded to the back window. I joined him. At first, I saw nothing. Then there, just past the tree line near the old garden shed, a figure, not moving, not hiding either, just standing, watching, dressed in black, tall, face obscured by a hood and sunglasses, despite the morning sun not being strong enough to warn either. I stared straight at him. He didn't move. I grabbed Ryan and pulled the curtains shut, called the police immediately, told them someone was lurking on my property, watching my children. They said they'd send a patrol car within 20 minutes. The man was gone by the time they arrived. They took a report, nodded sympathetically, told me to keep the doors locked and stay vigilant. Then they left. That night, Lily came into my office after the others were asleep. She didn't knock, just stepped in with that same quiet intelligence she always had and said, "I think Mommy's sick." I swallowed. "Why do you say that?" She climbed onto the chair across from me, took something from her hoodie pocket. It was a small piece of paper, folded over and over into a tiny square. "She left it in my sock drawer," Lily said. Before she left, I unfolded it. Inside was a phrase scrawled in tiny writing, barely readable. "If anything happens to me, go to the orchard. Dig by the broken fence post." No name, no date, just that. I stared at Lily. "When did she give you this?" "A few weeks ago." "And you didn't tell me?" She shrugged, suddenly looking younger. "I thought it was a joke, like a treasure map. But then, everything happened." I hugged her. I couldn't stop myself. Then I texted my lawyer to ask if I could skip filing until morning. We were going on a trip. To the orchard. The place where Lisa and I had gotten married 10 years ago, under the amber leaves and soft sky of late October. If she had buried something there, it meant that part of her was still fighting. Somewhere beneath the scripts and rewrites and implants and spirals. Lisa was still alive. And she had left me a breadcrumb. Now I had to follow it. Before they wiped her clean. I drove through the night, headlights cutting through fog like a blade. Lily sat beside me, silent, her hood up and earbuds in, but I could tell she wasn't listening to music. Her eyes were fixed out the window, unblinking, her hand twitching over her sketch pad like it wanted to move but couldn't. The orchard sat 2 hours north, out past the hills where the cell signal thinned and the radio turned to static. It had once belonged to Lisa's grandparents, rows of apple trees carved into a slope, all gnarled branches and soft soil. We hadn't been back since the wedding. I had to unlock a rusted gate to get in. The grass was knee-high. The path to the old fence had been swallowed by time. We parked by the barn, and I pulled 2 shovels from the trunk. Lily hesitated before getting out, then followed me with quiet steps. Her breath clouded in the cold air. The orchard was absolutely still, except for the faint creaking of a windblown swing we'd hung a decade ago, now half-snapped and swaying like a ghost waiting for its turn. "Do you remember which post she meant?" I asked. She nodded. "The one near the old scarecrow. It had that weird bend in the top." I hadn't thought about that scarecrow in years, how Lisa used to call it Walter, how she said its crooked neck made it look like it was listening. We found the post. Rotten, splintered, half-fallen and missing nails. The ground around it had been disturbed before, long ago, probably by raccoons or a flood, but it was soft, easy to dig. I handed Lily a flashlight and told her to stay close. I dug like a man possessed. 3 feet down, my shovel hit something solid. Metal. I dropped to my knees and cleared it with my hands. A small, rust-speckled safe, no bigger than a toolbox. There was no lock on it, just a latch. When I flipped it open, it groaned like something being woken from a long sleep. Inside, 3 items. A flash drive. A blood-stained plastic wristband with the same spiral logo. A folded letter addressed, in Lisa's handwriting, to me. Lily watched my face. "Is it bad?" "I don't know yet." We got back into the car and locked the doors. I gave her a granola bar and turned on the dome light. I unfolded the letter. Lisa's handwriting was messy, rushed. "Jack, if you're reading this, they've already taken part of me. Maybe most of me. I don't know if I'll remember you by the time this reaches you. I hope I do. But if not, this is the truth. Halcyon is not what it says it is. It's not wellness. It's not empowerment. It's control. Obedience. Reinvention. They don't want to help people. They want to own them. I went in to feel whole again, to feel seen. I was vulnerable, and they used that. Malcolm Ryder used that. There are other women. So many. They take them in and remake them into something else. Not wives. Not mothers. Not people. Just loyal assets. I tried to leave. I thought I could outsmart them. That's when they put me into phase 1. After that, things got blurry. I had to fake everything, the smiles, the dinners, the bedtime stories. But I remembered enough to plan this. To plant a clue. The drive contains audio, video, and location data. Use it. Burn every bridge if you have to. Just keep the kids safe. If they find out you have this, they'll come for you too. And Jack, if there's anything of me left in that body, anything real, bring me back. Please. I never stopped loving you. Even when I forgot your name. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Lily was reading over my shoulder now. Her fingers trembled on my arm. She's still in there, she whispered. I nodded. Yes. I drove us home before dawn, checking the mirrors every 2 minutes. No tail. No SUV. But the fear sat under my skin like static, that crackling sense of being one blink away from a van pulling up, a hand yanking us off the road, a syringe in the neck. When we got inside, I sent Lily to bed and locked every door, window, and crawl space. Then I went into the office and plugged in the flash drive. It took a moment to load. Then a folder opened. Timestamps. Footage. Encrypted logs. The first video file was dated October 23rd, one day after the visitor batch. I pressed play. The screen showed a wide, sterile room. White walls. No windows. A reclining chair in the center surrounded by machines. Lisa sat in it. Eyes open, but vacant. A man entered from the left. Silver hair. Black coat. Surgical gloves. Dr. Malcolm Ryder. He leaned in close and spoke softly. Subject 419 has responded well to phase 1. Resistance is minimal. Emotional tethering to prior familial bonds is degrading ahead of schedule. Initiating theta layer input sequence. Estimated completion, 7 days. Then he reached behind Lisa's ear and pressed something. A light on the side of the chair flickered. Lisa didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't breathe, just stared forward as a sound like a rising electrical pulse began building in the background. That's where the video cut. I sat frozen, heart thudding. I had seen enough to know 2 things. 1. This was no experiment. It was procedure, a business model. 2. Lisa wasn't lost yet. She had planted the safe before her mind broke. She had reached out in the only way she still could. She trusted me to finish what she couldn't. And now? Now I had proof. I had names, files, faces. They wanted silence. But I was going to be loud. If they had a phase 2 lined up, I'd burn their entire goddamn system before they reached phase 3. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. By sunrise, I had 3 burners ordered. I smashed my laptop. Literally with a hammer. I dug an old Chromebook from the attic and booted it without logging in. Everything had to go cold. Clean. Every digital footprint I made from this point on had to be as invisible as the man who watched my son from the tree line. Because this wasn't just a rescue. It was a countdown. And I had no idea how much time was left. At 6:03 a.m., I uploaded the flash drive contents to 2 encrypted servers, each behind deadman triggers. If something happened to me, if I went offline for more than 48 hours, the files would go public. Footage. Audio. Internal Halcyon documents. Patient logs. Including Lisa's. I kept a hard copy on a micro SD, burned into a key I wore under my shirt. They could take my phone, my car, even my house. But they weren't erasing her again. By 7 a.m., I had a list of every known Halcyon facility in the continental U.S. It wasn't easy. They buried themselves under shell companies and fake wellness centers, hiding like termites behind polished websites and buzzwords like conscious clarity and neural freedom. But 3 locations kept popping up in obscure regulatory filings. And only one had ever mentioned Tier 3, a supposed research annex outside a defunct military airstrip in rural New Mexico. Coordinates matched a restricted land lease hidden behind a front called Vantage Horizons. It wasn't even listed as a Halcyon site. But I knew. That's where she was. And it was phase 2 day. They were about to finish her. The second video on the drive confirmed it. Same room. Same chair. Different timestamp. Today, for 37 a.m., Lisa sat slumped in the chair, her mouth slightly open, drool at the corner of her lip. Her wrists were strapped down now, eyes glassy, unfocused. Dr. Urtha stood beside her, arms folded. There were others this time. A man in a charcoal suit, no lab coat. He never spoke, just nodded. Another woman in a black turtleneck was typing on a tablet, entering data from Lisa's neural readings in real time. The conversation was clinical, efficient. Subject 419 has stabilized. Emotional flattening at 92%. Parental dissolution confirmed. Spousal reference is now incoherent. Proceeding with implant protocol Theta 2 is scheduled. Lisa mumbled something then, barely audible. The mic caught it. Don't let them. And Rytha leaned in, not like a doctor, but like a handler, and whispered, You gave up. Lisa, this is your piece. Let it happen. I slammed my fist against the desk so hard the Chromebook wobbled. No, not yet. She was still in there. Faint, flickering, but alive. And if I didn't get to her today, that flicker would be extinguished. This was it. The window. I picked up the prepaid burner and called someone I never thought I'd call again. His name was Ben Fuller. We'd served together over a decade ago. He went private security. I went IT security. He owed me a favor. A big one. He picked up on the second ring. Jesus. Jack? You're a ghost. I need to find someone. And I need to break into a facility so classified it doesn't legally exist. He whistled. That's a hell of a good morning. It's my wife. I didn't have to say more. Ben had been there during the roughest part of our marriage. He knew Lisa. He liked her. Maybe more than I was ever comfortable with. But loyalty mattered now more than jealousy. He said, Send me coordinates. Gear list. I'll meet you there by 0100. No questions. 1. Are they armed? They're worse than armed. They're protected. That got a long pause. Then, I'll bring quiet tools. And people. I ended the call and turned to Lily, who had slipped into the doorway. You're leaving, she said. No question. Just a quiet resignation. I walked to her and knelt. I have to. They're finishing something today, and if I don't stop it, your mom's gone. She looked at me with those enormous eyes and said the thing that haunted me more than anything else. Promise me she'll remember my name. My throat locked. I will, I whispered. I swear. She didn't cry. She just nodded and left me alone with the silence. Before I left, I recorded a video, one for each of the kids, just in case. Then I left them with my brother and drove west. Through desert, dust, silence. No GPS, no calls, no lights. Just one mission, get inside. I arrived outside the New Mexico coordinates at 10:22 p.m. An empty stretch of nothing. No road, no buildings. Just hills, scrub, stars. Then Ben's truck rolled out of the black. 2 more vehicles behind him. Men and women stepped out, each one scarred, quiet, ready. This the place? Ben asked. I pointed to the valley below. Buried deep. They've got something underground. He handed me a small headset. Then we go in soft. I nodded. And the last thing I saw before we descended into that dark valley was the photo Lisa had left me. Back when she could still plan, still fight, still love. This time, I wasn't fighting for answers. I was fighting to reclaim her soul. The dirt under our boots barely made a sound. Ben had brought 4 operators, all ex-military, no names, no insignias. Just calm hands and predator eyes. No one spoke unless they had to. We moved through darkness lit only by stars and infrared. Half a mile down the ridge, nestled into the slope like a scar, was a half-buried concrete dome. No lights. No motion detectors. It didn't look like an entrance. That was the point. Ben tapped my shoulder. There's a signal blocker nearby. That's why we lost drone visuals. Probably buried a jammer under the surface. Means they don't want anyone watching, I said. Which also means they're definitely hiding something. We fanned out. Quiet. Focused. Then one of Ben's guys, a woman named Porter, crouched by a mound of brush. Got something. She pulled back the vegetation. Beneath it, a metal panel barely wider than a manhole cover. Smooth, with no latch. Except one thing. A small slit on the surface. It looked like a biometric reader. No keypad. No wires, she whispered. It's encrypted and wireless. We'd need a signal to even tell it what to do. What if it's voice print access? I said. Ben raised an eyebrow. You thinking what I'm thinking? Lisa got in before with a voice match. If it's the same protocol. He nodded. Then we fake her voice. I pulled up the audio files from the drive. One clip of Lisa saying her name. Another, a longer phrase. I accept the terms of red level access. We used a directional speaker, aimed it at the reader. Played the file. Nothing. Played it again. Beep. A hiss of decompression echoed beneath our feet. Then a click. The panel began to slide open. Ben looked at me. You've got about 90 seconds before someone inside gets a silent alert. After that, we'll be fighting ghosts. We dropped into the darkness. The shaft led to a metal corridor, narrow and steep, lit by thin red strips along the floor. The walls weren't painted, just smooth, gray steel. Cold air blew from vents in the floor, scented faintly with antiseptic and something else. Something metallic. We passed no guards. No cameras. Too quiet. And that was when we reached the first checkpoint. A sealed glass door with another biometric panel. But this time, no slit. Just a camera. Facial recognition. We froze. Ben's eyes locked with mine. You got a workaround for that? I didn't. But then I remembered something. From the videos. In the reflection of one clip, Lisa's face, emotionless, looking directly at a camera just like this one. I pulled it up on the tablet. Paused it. Zoomed in. Set it to loop. We held the screen up to the reader. It scanned. Click. The door slid open. My stomach turned. I didn't know if this was brilliance or madness. We entered the main corridor. What we saw next stopped us cold. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of small glass rooms. Each one the size of a storage unit. Each one with a woman inside. Sitting. Sleeping. Some standing perfectly still, eyes blank, wrists clasped in their laps. All of them wearing the same wristbands. All of them marked with numbers. Porter whispered, Jesus Christ. This isn't a lab. No, I said. It's a warehouse. They weren't just doing this to Lisa. They were doing it to hundreds. And my wife, my real wife, was somewhere in this hive, being pushed to the edge of herself. Ben checked the schematics from a stolen blueprint overlay. Level 3 straight ahead. High clearance. If she's in Phase 2, that's where they're doing it. We passed a final checkpoint. This time, we didn't fake anything. Ben's team planted a silent charge. A soft pop and the door creaked open. Beyond it, a wide hallway, humming with low-frequency sound. And in the center, a chamber with a single reclined chair. Lisa, strapped in, eyes closed, a visor over her face, wires threaded into her arms. Standing beside her, Rytha, alone. No guards. No assistants. He turned as we entered, completely calm. You're too late, he said. She's gone. No, I said. She left me a map. He smiled thin, humorless. Then you don't understand how deep this goes. I raised the pistol. Step away from her. He did. Slowly, but not fearfully. He raised his hands, then reached into his coat. Ben shouted, Don't. Rytha froze. I'm just retrieving her final report, he said. He slid a tablet from his coat and handed it to the floor. Then he stepped back. I rushed to Lisa. Her skin was cold. Eyes still closed. Breathing shallow. I yanked the visor off. She flinched. Then whispered, almost inaudibly. Jack? Tears hit me before I knew I was crying. Yeah, I whispered. Yeah, I'm here. But Rytha was smiling. Because then Lisa said something else. Not to me. To him. Do you want me to neutralize them? I froze. Ben's eyes went wide. Jack. Lisa's wristband lit up. Red. And she began to rise. Movement stiff. Inhuman. Silent. She turned to me. Expression blank. No trace of the woman who once kissed my forehead in the dark when she thought I was asleep. And then I understood it. Phase 2 wasn't erasure. It was obedience. And they had just activated her. Lisa stepped forward like a puppet on perfectly engineered strings. Her posture was too straight, too deliberate, each movement measured with machine-like precision. The red light on her wristband pulsed, steady, cold, rhythmic. Lisa, I said softly, keeping my voice low, like I was coaxing a wild animal back from the edge. It's me. You know me. She stopped. Her eyes flicked, not recognition, not memory. Just data input. Then she tilted her head, One slow, unnatural motion, like she was calculating. I know of you, she said. Her voice wasn't hers anymore. It sounded filtered, like there was another frequency under it, like static hiding in a smile. But you are not in the system. Ben raised his weapon. Jack. No, I said. Don't shoot. She's not gone. She can't be. I stepped closer, 1 foot at a time. She left me a letter. Buried it. Before they finished whatever this is. She planned for this. You fought, Lisa. You're still fighting. A flicker in her eyes. Something there. Like light underwater. Then Rytha spoke. Calm. Precise. Like a surgeon behind glass. You misunderstand, he said. Phase 2 doesn't overwrite the subject. It splits them. Lisa still exists. You're speaking to the overlay, her reinforced layer, tuned to our instructions. But the original template? It's sealed. Submerged. He stepped forward, hands behind his back, as if he were giving a lecture. She's in there, yes. But she can't reach you anymore. She can, I said. Because she did. She buried evidence. She sent messages. That means your programming didn't hold. He smiled, a small, indulgent grin. We accounted for minor bleed-through. That's why Phase 3 exists. Total streamlining. Full commitment. Then I'll stop it before that ever happens. Ben's team surrounded Lisa, but they didn't fire. She didn't move. Her voice came again, more monotone now. You are a non-authorized disruptor. This facility has protocol clearance to you. Shut it off. I snapped at Rytha. Turn it off. Let her go. He sighed. It doesn't work like that. I looked at her. Lisa, I brought something. Something you left for me. For us. You told me to find it. I pulled the micro SD key from under my shirt. Held it out. Her eyes locked onto it instantly. The wristband pulsed brighter. Her breath caught. That was it. Recognition. Not complete, but real. Her lips parted. Apple trees, she said, like a dream escaping sleep. Ray's smile vanished. I took a step forward. That's right, I said. The orchard. Our wedding. You wrote that down. You buried it for me. Do you remember who stood with you? She blinked. Lily, she whispered. The red light on her band flickered. Then for a second turned yellow. Her hand trembled. Ray's comm cracked. Override. Subject 419, initiate subroutine. But Lisa turned on him. Jack, she gasped. Help me. I ran. She staggered, reaching out, barely standing upright now. Her body spasmed once. The wristband blinked violently. Her knees buckled. I caught her. And for a second, just one, I saw it. Her. Raw. Terrified. Real. But then alarms started screaming through the chamber. They were coming. Not just security. Others. Subjects. Ben shouted, we have to move. Now. Porter grabbed the tablet Rytha dropped, already copying its contents to a drive. I dragged Lisa up with me, her feet half dragging, half running. The further we pulled her from the chair, the more her body fought, as if some magnetic pull was trying to wrench her back. Where are we going? She asked through clenched teeth. Home, I said. Her face twisted. I don't remember where that is. It's where they aren't. Rytha stood frozen at the center of the room, watching as his project, his asset, broke protocol. You won't keep her, he said, too quietly. You think she's free? She's fractured. You're carrying half a woman. I'd rather have her halved and human than perfected and hollow. We reached the corridor as red light strobed across the walls. Behind us, doors were opening. Soft footsteps. Many. Ben and his team to point. Shots echoed down the hall, no bullets yet. Just warning pulses. The kind you use to disable, not kill. They weren't trying to stop us. They were trying to retrieve her. Lisa stumbled again, clutching her head. I hear them, she whimpered. Voices. Commands. They're not gone. I handed her my earpiece. Put this in. Now. It'll jam the input. Block the signal. She fumbled but got it in. Her whole body tensed. Then slowly, her eyes cleared. And she looked at me like she hadn't in months. Jack, she breathed. And I knew it. She was back. Fragile. Incomplete. But back. Ben's voice came over the comms. Exit sealed. We've got fallback evac in 90. But we're about to have company. I pulled Lisa closer and said into the mic. Then we buy time. Copy that, Ben said. And Jack? Yeah, tell her to hang on. Because whatever they started in here, we're finishing it out there. The facility turned on us like a living thing. Metal groaned behind the walls, gears shifting, doors sealing shut like the ribs of a collapsing beast. Lights strobed red, one after the other, in synchronized pulses, heartbeat rhythm. And the air changed. Pressurized. Sharp. The kind that fills lungs with sterile fear. Lisa was barely standing. One arm looped around my neck, the other twitching every time the band on her wrist flared. She kept mumbling fragments, part numbers, access strings, timestamps. Her mouth was moving faster than her mind could follow, like echoes of a code she couldn't forget even when she wanted to. They're rebooting, she whispered. They'll wipe it all. Everyone. Memory purge. Protocol Epsilon. They warned me. I pulled her closer. They won't touch you again. Her eyes met mine, a flicker of her. Not the broken program they tried to shape, but Lisa, real and raw and scared out of her goddamn mind. They didn't expect this, she muttered. They said love was a weakness. They said, it always fails. They were wrong. Ben's voice cracked over comms. Pressure breach in Subhall 1. Subjects are loose. Not guards, assets. Be ready. Assets. Women. Just like Lisa. Dozens of them. Maybe more. Activated. Triggered. Trained. I gritted my teeth and hoisted her higher. We need to move, now. We pushed through the service corridor toward the secondary exit, the one Ben's team rigged earlier with remote thermite, a final contingency. But the moment we rounded the corner, they were there. 4 of them. Female. Mid-30s. Identical wristbands. Identical stillness. Eyes like glass. One stepped forward. No further movement authorized, she said, voice flat. Behind me, Lisa gasped. She's 317, she said. That's Megan. She had a son. She begged them to let her keep him. Ben raised his rifle. Don't shoot, I said. I'm not aiming to kill. I'm aiming to delay. Porter tossed down a flashbang. White light bloomed, and I dove with Lisa down an access shaft while Ben's team opened suppressive fire above us. We hit the bottom hard. Lisa cried out, but I didn't let go. No time. I shoved through a rusted grate and burst into the cold night. The emergency evac point was already lit. A truck, covered, engines running, back ramp down. I waved. A hand reached out, pulled us both in. Porter slammed the ramp. Ben dropped in beside me 30 seconds later, covered in bruises, one side of his vest half melted from a stun charge. Drive, he barked. The truck peeled off into the desert. Dust swallowed the lights. And for the first time in what felt like days, we were out. Alive, but not free. Lisa curled into me, shivering. They'll follow, she murmured. Always. Until it's over. Until I'm empty. I shook my head. No. We make it over. We burn them down. Porter handed me the drive she pulled from Raid's tablet. Everything, she said. Locations. Patients. Funders. And this. She held up a slim silver chip. This is their back door. Their admin key. Lisa's band. We can shut it off. But only once. Lisa looked at it, like it was a bullet with her name engraved on it. Then she reached up and pulled the wristband herself. It resisted, buzzed, sent a shock through her body. She screamed. Then it snapped off. Her whole body went limp. She slumped in my arms. For one sickening second, I thought she'd gone. But then she stirred and breathed. Deep, full, uncontrolled. Lisa, whole. Tears slid down her cheeks. I don't hear them anymore, she whispered. It's quiet. Ben exhaled. We got her out. But my hands were shaking. Because it wasn't over. Not even close. I'd seen the files. Dozens of sites. Hundreds of women. And one hidden directive, buried deep in the code. Timestamped for 7 days from now. Global Phase Alpha begins social integration trials. This wasn't just about Lisa. They weren't just rewriting wives. They were preparing to release them. Every single one into the world. Obedient. Empty. Invisible. And unless we stopped it now, Lisa would only be the first saved. The rest would be lost forever. We didn't sleep. None of us. The desert night stretched long and brutal, like it knew what was coming. The stars overhead blinked out one by one as clouds rolled in, heavy with ash and dust. We drove for hours in silence, Lisa's head resting against my shoulder, her eyes fluttering with fragments of memory trying to knit themselves back together. By morning, we crossed into a no-name town off an abandoned highway, the kind of place where no one asked questions and everyone stayed inside. Ben had a contact there, a former data architect turned whistleblower, now running diagnostics out of a junkyard beneath rusted car frames and tarp roofs. His name was Cole. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in a year and smoked instead of breathing. When we showed him the Halcyon admin chip, he went dead quiet. "Where did you get this?" "From inside," I said. "From the source. Dr. Malcolm Rytha." At the mention of that name, he flinched. "You know him?" "I know of him. He's the boogeyman in circles I don't tell my mother I still talk to." He turned the chip in the light. "This key doesn't just shut down a subject. It shuts down the entire system. The grid. Their network. If you activate this." "We pull the plug," I said. He looked at Lisa, who watched him from the corner of the room, eyes hollow but grounded. "Do it," she whispered. "Please." Cole nodded and got to work. 20 minutes later, he had it wired into a secure terminal. Screens blinked to life. Code flooded the monitor. Porter stood by the window, rifle in hand, watching the road. Ben paced, eyes darting to the map we'd unrolled across a crate. And me? I stood by Lisa, holding her hand, because I knew what she wouldn't say aloud. She blamed herself for going to that retreat, for thinking she needed something more, for walking into the lion's mouth. But she didn't know the truth yet. She hadn't seen the line in the code we found that morning. The one buried beneath thousands of strings of control syntax, deeply encrypted, hidden like a secret signature. It read, Subject 419, Optimal Test Candidate. Former spouse identified as high resilience variable. Execute bond severance stress trial. Monitor parental isolation effect. Result, anomalous loyalty retention. Recommend future suppression protocol. Lisa wasn't just a patient. She was an experiment. They'd picked her because of me. Because they wanted to test whether love, real, messy, human love, could survive their programming. And it had. She did. We did. Cole's voice cut through the static. We're in. All command paths routed. When I press this key, Halcyon's network dies. All of it. Every server, every node, every asset link. No backups. No cloud sync. Just a blackout. Ben looked at me. Lisa stepped forward and said, Let me do it. Cole hesitated. You sure? She nodded. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard. And in that moment, I saw it. Her. Not a fragment. Not a flicker. Lisa. Whole. She looked at me. At Porter. At Ben. And then she pressed the key. One soft click. The screen stuttered. Flashed red. Then black. And just like that, Halcyon died. We stood in the silence that followed, waiting. But nothing came. No drones. No gunships. No agents. Just the wind. Ben let out a long breath. It's over. But I shook my head. No. It started. Because a week later, headlines broke. Mass system failures across wellness centers nationwide. Disappearing executives. Unraveled shell companies. A congressional hearing. Victims coming forward, names surfacing, lawsuits building like tidal waves. And in the center of it, one woman. Lisa. She testified. Publicly. On record. She spoke of what they did to her. To others. And she didn't cry when she said she forgot our children's names. But she cried when she said she remembered them again. Lily. Josh. Emma. Mia. Ryan. She said their names like they were sacred. The final part of her soul that survived. And me? I sat in the front row, holding those 5 children in my arms, watching their mother fight the people who tried to unmake her. And when we went home after, back to the house, the same stairs, the same kitchen, but nothing was the same. We were rebuilding. Slow, shaky, but real. One morning, as I sipped coffee and watched the sunrise bleed through the window, Lisa came up behind me, slid her arms around my chest. You still love me? She whispered. Even the parts they tried to erase. She smiled. And for the first time since this began, it wasn't bittersweet. It was full. You know, she said, if they try something like this again. They won't. But if they do. I looked at her, saw the fire in her eyes. then smiled back. We'll burn the whole goddamn system down again. Together.